Hello everyone, my name is Nicole from LadyPrefersToSave.com, and today I'm bringing a much requested video to help you get your new year started off right, and that is 7 steps to help you be financially ready for the new year. So if you're looking for simple ways to help make your budget work for you, stay tuned. The first step to preparing your finances for the new year is to actually have a budget that you'll stick to. You need to know how your finances are run, how your family spends money, and the best way to do that is to actually start compiling all of your receipts into an online spreadsheet. I recommend Google Sheets to do this as it's available to most people, but whatever way works for you, make sure that you do it. Consider that by the time that you're in your 20s, most people have dabbled with the idea of starting a budget. Unfortunately, by the time most people hit their 30s, they've cemented whatever negative financial decisions they've already decided to make, such as living paycheck to paycheck, not investing a certain amount of their paycheck, whatever the case may be. We really, at any time, can move past those decisions and find financial missteps and then try to work to reverse them to our advantage, which is easy to do, and the start of a new year is a great time to do that. Consider this. If you only want to allocate $15 per week to, say, going out to eat or drinking a coffee, then you'll have to stick to that budget. The best way for you may be to have a cash envelope system where you literally pay cash for all of your purchases. Perhaps it's something that you need to take your coffee from home with you and save those $15 that you may have a more expensive lunch later in the week. Whatever the case may be, you really need to have a budget and stick to it and have individual itemized accounts within the budget that work for whatever your particular situation is. And at the end of the day, it's not a great thing to hear, but at times you'll have to cut yourself off. You may even need to have a no-spend month to get yourself started on the path to financial responsibility in the new year. A lot of people will pick January as a no-spend month, going off of Christmas. I tend to recommend waiting until the spring to do that, and that way you don't feel quite so cramped. And as a side note, taking January, February, and March to document all of your financial dealings will help you in the spring to see what you can adequately cut back. Until you have a documented view of, say, a season's worth of spending under your belt, you're probably not going to stick to a budget. Now, for those who want to take it high tech and maybe go a little bit more zero waste in terms of their budgeting, I recommend Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar app. It is something that you can use on any smartphone. It's also available as a desktop attachment and even a Google Chrome extension that'll help you create a zero-based system for your budget and allocate every dollar into particular funds. Something else I recommend is having the start of something called a slush fund. And this is to ensure that you will stay within your financial means by terms of having particular accounts, whether that be for health expenditures or perhaps car maintenance, insurance, pet care, whatever the case may be, that you have funds set aside each month so that you won't have to reach for a credit card to pay for particular expenditures each and every month. This is something that over, say, a season again, that you would be able to see what things you need throughout the course of several months and then know how to budget that in. I really recommend actually sitting down and writing out your budget and then transforming it to online sources. That way you have not just 1 month, but 3, 6, and a year. And at the end of the year, you can actually compare all of your budgetary needs together and to really see what you've saved and not saved in one itemized screen. I find that the easiest. As well, it will help you later on when you are looking at, say, purchasing a new car or a new home, that you can sit down and say, okay, this is exactly what we spent. This is exactly what we're able to save, and this is how much we can put towards those new products, and that will immensely help you later on. You are your best advocate when it comes to your finances, and so starting with a budget in 2018 will be the best way for you to start that road to financial freedom. The next step to help you financially prepare for your new year ahead would be not spending your entire paycheck. Now, I know a lot of people do live paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of people have very tight budgets, but consider this. If you were able to use just 5 to 10% less of what you make each month, consider what you could be putting in savings. Consider this. If you save 10% of your income after all expenditures for the year, you could self-fund within 10 years a down payment on a house and a car, and even you could fund your own vacations. Instead of taking out secondary loans, going to the bank, payday loans, or credit cards, you could be using the money that would have gone to interest to pay for all of these expenditures yourself. We recommend, and from our family's experience, being able to live on 80% of whatever you net in each month, and then allocating of the remaining 20%, diversifying this into both a savings account as well as a Roth account that can be matched by your employer should those possibilities be in place in your neck of the woods. But definitely starting with saving 5% and then working your way up and up and up to 20% will really help you in the year to come. Challenge yourself in just one season to see if you can save 5% and work your way up. You will be really surprised at the ways that simple things, such as perhaps cutting the cord to cable, could really help you fund a lot of those problems that you're having in your finances. It's all about tying up those loose ends, seeing what means you have and being able to live within them. And once you've been able to do that, you'll really feel much better about yourself. The need to no longer be dependent on the next check coming in or having to float your finances in between is really a scary thing. And so being able to stop that yourself will really help you in the road to come. The third step that you want to take to become more financially solvent in the new year would be to be just getting real about your finances. And by that, I mean not just the budget, I mean sitting down and really discussing with yourself or your family and your spouse where you see yourself, not just in 2018, but in the years to come. Consider this. If you actually don't know where your money is going, you will not become financially solvent. You will not pay off debt or any of the like because you don't know where your money is going. You really have to sit down and get real about what you want your money to do. Your money should be working for you and not against you. I also recommend that when you are sitting down to initially create your budget, the next step to this in the getting real aspect of budgetary needs in your family is setting a reward goal. Ask yourself, do you want to go on a vacation? Is there something you've been wanting to purchase? That needs to be put into your budget as an incentive. That will give you the antithesis to get in there and get rid of that debt and kind of carve a niche into what you want to see your financial success to look like in the months to come. Set something small for 2018. Maybe there's something you wanted to purchase for yourself. Maybe you need a new major appliance at home. Whatever the case may be, set that goal. And then once you're at that goal, surpass it and keep going and going and going and giving yourself something to look forward to. And that's why getting real with your finances is really going to help you, because you may not know right now. You may not know just how much you're spending when you're eating out. You may not know how much those lattes are adding up to. You may not have any idea how buying the extra things from kids at school, say selling wrapping paper or getting that extra, half cart worth of things at Target once a month is really costing you. Consider that not just what you're spending, but what you're bringing into your home also has other things that are being accrued. If you're bringing in major items, are they going to have to be insured? Do you have to claim them on your homeowner's insurance? Is this something that's going to have to be maintained and cleaned? If you're bringing a new pet into your home, what is this going to look like in terms of vet care and grooming and so forth and so on? Really consider all these costs in the new year and how this really reflects your budget. And the first step to this, of course, is just getting real and sitting down and realizing what's going on with yourself and your budget, and then setting a goal of a reward. In addition to that, will help you see where you see yourself in the days to come, and what better time than the new year to get started with that too. The fourth step to becoming more financially prepared in the new year is to, of course, adding on to that, once you know where your budget is going, is figuring out your particular debt situation. And by that, I mean you need to list all of your creditors. How much do you owe on a mortgage, on a credit card? Do you have a line of credit with your bank or credit union? Do you owe on a vehicle or vehicles? Do you have payments that you're making on student loans or perhaps to a hospital for medical services? wherever your money is going, wherever your paycheck is being rendered to, you need to sit down and figure out how much that is. Now, there's a lot of schools of thought in paying off debt. A lot of people, including my family, went with the Dave Ramsey school of thought, which is instead of going by interest rate, you would go by the smallest amount to the largest amount and snowball your debt as you're paying it off. Some people like the Susie Orman school of thought, where you would go by your interest rate and you would snowball down. And then some people, you can also even contact your creditors and see if you can get a lower interest rate or even a secondary consolidation loan to pay everything off. While I'm not a particular fan, nor do I endorse the third option, that is something that people do. I particularly like the Dave Ramsey plan because I feel that by paying the smallest to largest amount, that it kind of gives you that momentum to keep going. But depending on your line of credit, you may have to skip a few steps and pay off something that has a higher interest rate to save you more money. Or perhaps you took out a personal loan with a family member and you really need to pay that off first for emotional or familiar reasons. You have to do whatever's best for you, but definitely sit down and look at your debt situation and any debts that you have aside from your mortgage. This is something that needs to be evaluated. And I would recommend twice a year looking into those decisions and sitting down and being your own financial planner and seeing how this will affect you in not just the months, but years and decades to come. The fifth step to becoming more financially prepared for the new year is starting a strong emergency fund. We all know that emergencies are going to come up, whether that's an unanticipated car repair or a medical expense for your children or an emergency trip in the middle of the night to the vet. Something is going to come up, so you definitely need to be prepared for that. And the best way to do it is to have your own emergency fund set up for those particular reasons. Consider that you may think it's hard enough to pay the bills and not have money set aside, but really you're paying yourself, and that is so important. And the first step to having a great emergency fund is just setting aside a certain portion of each paycheck for that purpose. If you put $50 down, assuming that you were paid bi-monthly, within 10 months, you could have a $1,000 emergency fund saved. Also consider once you can become financially solvent and debt-free, if you were then able to save 3 or 6 months worth of salary to the side, if you had a financial situation come up, such as the loss of a job, you would be covered. You have to also consider that in North America, the average takes 9 months for an adult to be reemployed at the same economic level of their previous job. Consider that workers' benefits are only going to cover you for 3 to 4 months. There's still a gap of almost half a year that you would not be covered. Those emergency funds are dire in those situations, equally compounded if you have children, pets, or perhaps are a caretaker for a disabled or elderly family member. These are things that you have to consider and how much you will need. And by starting with a small emergency fund and working your way towards having a larger one is the best way to do that. The emergencies are going to happen and they're going to keep coming. And the older you get, the more of a priority they'll be. So definitely starting this season, 2018, with a strong emergency fund will be your best way to fight these in the months and years to come. The sixth way to help yourself be more financially ready in the year to come is by not forgetting your retirement. Guys, you got to consider that most people, by the time they're in their early 30s, have not one dime set aside for retirement. In the United States and Canada, the average age for starting a retirement account is 45 years old. And consider that most people retire when they're 65. You've only paid into the system, set aside for your retirement, 20 out of the probable 45 years that you could have been setting aside money for retirement, which is just simply not enough for most people to live on with the cost of inflation. You have to start thinking about your retirement savings now. A couple ways to consider doing this would be, one, again, a private savings account to start you on that path. Two, you can consider how much you need to be putting aside for things like additional insurance, such as long-term disability and the like. And the third way is consider if your company will match contributions to existing 401ks. Are you able to get that now? If you're able to have that match, that's a great way to build up retirement savings while you're working from anytime that you're starting in a company. Definitely see what's available to you first by your employer before making private options. Also, that would include things like money market accounts, IRAs, and even city and state bonds that you might be purchasing. Look to see what rates are available to you, shop around, but definitely always start with your company first and seeing what can be done. But definitely, there's no day that's too late to start saving for retirement, but the earlier you can do it, obviously, the better that is. And a little bit of advice that you may not hear. If you are an online influencer, if you are a wife, if you are a mother, if you are a woman, you cannot be dependent on the single income of anyone else. If you have any variable income coming in, you need to be putting 20% of that aside. 10% needs to go into a self-funded retirement account, and up to 10% of the additional funds needs to go to pay things such as independent contractor taxes, as well as health expenses for yourself. You have got to put money aside. You cannot depend on the survivor benefits, insurance premiums, or Social Security for that matter of your spouse. You have got to be putting money aside for your own retirement. You have to think about these things. You have to think about how not only will you take care of yourself in the event that your spouse isn't around, what will you do about your children? The best way that you can be a mother to your children is by being not only financially savvy, but financially set for your future. That's the example that your kids need to see. They need to see that mom was okay. Mom led her own way and she understood what she needed to do with her finances. Never let another person dictate how your retirement will be funded or go. You need to make those decisions for yourself, and 2018 is the best time to start. And the final way that you can help yourself become more financially prepared for the coming year would be the following. Don't loan money. I know this is a controversial thing to say, but I stand by this. I don't believe in just loaning money to people. Now, you may say you have friends or family and you can depend on getting that money back. To that, I say, still don't do it. But hear me out. I don't believe in giving money to other people by way of a loan. I do believe in giving financial gifts to others. I do believe in the pay it forward system. So if you are able to give that amount and it won't hurt your income or how much you have in savings in a time period to come, give that money. Give it stipulant free. Just give it. Whatever they need, give the money. That way, a friendship won't be injured. You won't have to ask for the person back. And, imagine if getting that money back, you were dependent on use for, say, another bill. It's not a situation that you ever want to find yourself in. So I recommend just giving the gift of money if that's needed. Some people will say that they don't give money unless it's in the form of a tithe. I don't agree with that either. I think there are situations where people need a hand up. And in fact, there are a lot of situations, especially in the United States, where many church families and bodies within Christ do not give to community organizations or individuals outside of their own brethren. So there are occasions where the secular and non-secular still have people that fall through the safety net. And in that case, some people may need help, people that you know. Again, if you can give a gift to someone, do that. Do not loan people money. Do not be dependent on getting money back from other people, because chances are you'll never see that again. I know a lot of people get into a lot of financial hardship as a result. Just don't find yourself in that position, and I think you will be much better off in the year to come. And so everyone, those are my 7 tips to help you be more financially solvent and to get on the right track to being debt-free and to help build wealth management in 2018. I hope that these steps will help get you thinking on how you and your family can become more ready for any emergency that may come your way in the next year. And now I want to ask, are there any financial situations that you've had in 2017 that you think could have been better? Did you have any victories in terms of your finances, or do you have some tips on getting people to build wealth management? I would love to hear about them below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, and let me know what your financial victories or missteps were in the description bar below. We can always learn from them. And as always, please be kind to yourself and to others and have a wonderful rest of your day and a happy new year to come.